So early part of December 2021, 2 tornadoes actually came through all of our western part of Kentucky, hitting pretty much every location in western Kentucky. It went through Princeton, on in through Central City, Greenville area, through Hopkinsville, part of Russellville, and part of Bowling Green, which is all our western Kentucky markets. That night and on into that morning, I know Alex and I went through every contact that we had to make sure every person was okay. I've never had that moment in my life where we didn't hear back from a few people that night and went to bed not knowing. Praise the good Lord above, the next morning we knew that everyone was at least alive and okay. We had 4 team members in western Kentucky that had at least some damage to their property, some that lost it all. By the grace of the River Foundation and Many Hands Outreach, we were able to put $1,000 into each of their accounts Saturday morning, so they could just have it for whatever need may come up as they try to figure out life.
December 11th kind of changed the landscape of western Kentucky in a way that we didn't expect. Brought people together in ways that we did not expect. You know, the first thing you start thinking about is, how can you help? And knowing the team that we work for here, that was on the heart and mind of not just those that were affected in the communities affected, but throughout the entire state and throughout our entire team. And so I knew in the background that work was being done, thoughts were being given. Once they decided what they wanted to do, it was communicated to the folks over here in this part of the state. So was excited about that opportunity and excited that each of us as team members played a big part in that, so in contributing that. So whether we realized that or not, we were a part of that decision.
So the big discussion was everyone's helping because it was worldwide news at that point. And we knew that the needs would go on way beyond just that first initial ask. And so our mindset was to take it slow, to know that we wanted to make a larger impact than just what was happening that first month of recovery. We wanted to make sure we were still involved months and maybe even years later. And so our impact would last for a long time and could really serve the people for a long time, because as we probably all know, after a few weeks, the energy dies and people start to go back to normal life, and there's still a ton of needs out there. If you're still around some of that area, you can still see tornado major damage. It still looks like war zones in some areas, some almost 9 months later. So we had a wonderful opportunity to partner with the National Christian Foundation to put some funds together to find organizations that were meeting what we thought were the perfect needs for the community. We took a long time to dive in because we knew we had the Lord's money and we wanted to use it the right way, and we didn't want to use it fast, and we wanted to make sure it was going to give the biggest impact. So we took a ton of time and did tons of research to make sure it was meeting our needs.
I think for each of the folks that were serving on those committees, we felt like the real need wasn't necessarily right up front, but the need was going to come for housing later down on the path. And so we began the search looking for opportunities for people that were going to be generating homes back or new homes back in the community for people that would really need that.
One of the ones that I knew the least about, Susan Wells, actually on the team, did the most research on in Muhlenberg County, was called God's Pit Crew. And she shared their story and their mission, and it became very evident that that is somebody we needed to invest in, but I knew very little of it because Susan did that part of that work.
So it really just all kind of came together. This is right here at our doorstep. We trust this organization. We're not the experts. We've got some funds that we can help people with, but we want people that will do it right, that we can trust that it's going to be handled in the right way.
After we decided to give some money to them and choose them, this was a few weeks after that, I was fortunate enough that Josh Colwell invited me on to a lunch to meet Sean and Mindy Rickard.
My name is Sean Rickard. This is my wife.
Mindy Rickard.
And we live in Bremen, Kentucky. I own the company Mechanical Consultants Incorporated in Owensboro, Kentucky. Mindy's been a customer of First Southern since
I was a teenager.
Yeah, since the mid-90s. We got married in 2002 and started our joint credit here, and we've been a customer since. I worked for the company for 23 years, and I bought the company in April of 2020.
Mechanical Consultants, yes.
Yeah, and this seemed like a natural place to bring my business banking, so we've been a business customer for almost 2 years.
And about halfway through the lunch, Sean started talking about the tornado and quickly shared how much they had lost, how much suffering that they had in their area. He shared the story of that day and how traumatic it was for him and his family.
We were watching it. I knew it was headed our direction. I didn't know it was going to hit our house, but I knew it was headed our direction. And we watched it hit Mayfield on the radar, listening to all the reports. Watched it hit Dawson Springs, listened to all the reports. I was still texting with a buddy of mine at the ambulance service. We were talking about the reports coming out of Mayfield, fatalities, and just it was a mess. And it hit Arlington, and it was on a beeline for our house. And I don't know, the good Lord told us to leave, so we were. I mean, they were floored. We were in a 2-story brick home.
We never leave.
Yeah.
We never leave.
We're the ones that sit on the back porch and watch it come. We had talked about trying to get some churches opened up that have basements because we don't have a good storm shelter. So Powers Chapel opened up and they have a good basement, and we left and went to Powers Chapel. It was raining, but it wasn't storming yet. We were probably there about 7 or 8 minutes before the tornado hit. And they had grabbed some blankets, they wrapped everything up, and they went downstairs. My son and my father-in-law and myself stood on the front porch, watched it, listening. I had a radio and I was listening, and it was going right down Highway 175, listening to all the damage. And I remember Kenny, my father-in-law, said, where's it at? And I said, I think it's hitting our farm. And it did. We got to the bottom of the hill. We live on a really tall hill. And we got to the bottom of the hill, and you could see a mixture of red and blue lights from all the fire trucks and cop cars on 81, but you could also see from the lightning in the background. We got to the bottom of our hill.
And the lightning lit up.
It was just horizon. There was
no
standing.
House. There was no barn. There was no buildings.
Yeah, everything we had
nothing
was
there.
leveled. Monday morning, I called Legacy Metals in Hopkinsville. They had built a couple buildings for us. I said, I don't know what I need, but I need something quickly. Put me on your list. I need something quick. And we took a couple of days to get our thoughts together and decided we were going to build a pole frame structure and finish it out for a living area. And about 2 weeks later, we had our building on the ground and going up. My employees from our company were a huge blessing. They came in and just helped any way they could. We had folks bringing in dozers and track hoes, helping with cleanup and dirt work. I had folks donating electrical for our building. I mean, it was just crazy. I had a supplier reach out to me Sunday or Monday, and they donated 100% of our kitchen cabinets, countertops, plumbing fixtures, appliances. Just everybody wanted to help us get back on our feet, basically. Through a lot of help and a lot of hard work, 12 weeks to the day, we moved into what we call a temporary home, 1,200 square feet. Pole barn, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We had a place to call our own. We slept under our roof 12 weeks a night.
And then he went immediately into, have you ever heard of God's Pit Crew? And I shot back in my desk like, well, yeah, I've did a huge research on them and kind of know exactly what they're doing in this area and seemed like an amazing organization. I still didn't say that we just donated some funding to them. He said, well, let me tell you about them a little bit more in depth.
I'd heard through a friend of ours that God's Pit Crew was coming to Bremen to build a couple of homes, turnkey, free of charge. And I felt led to help, so I called Danville, Virginia. They said, you need to speak to Warren. I talked to Warren on the phone and told him what I could do. He said, we need it. So we hit it off. He had never met me, but he trusted me to take over the plumbing and heating and air conditioning on those 2 homes. And we just went to work.
And he said they had come over, had the right people. We knew who their organization was, and they just started from day one rebuilding our area. And I knew they were making a great impact. And this is Sean talking. And he goes, so I knew that we had to help with them. And John Brett, I've got a team of, I think at the time he had 17 or 18 folks on his business They shut down business for the week, did not do any jobs to make profit. They went to work for God's Pit Crew and helped rebuild, I believe, 3 houses during that week in Muhlenberg County. And I left that lunch still not trying to balance it. And I remember pulling Josh over to the side and I said, you have no idea how amazing the Lord works. That is something that we prayed about, we wanted to give to, and he just immediately a couple weeks later validated exactly why we gave that money to them.
Fast forward to this week, after we did those homes in Bremen, we hit it off. They're fine folks. I met the owner and his wife, and they're just all awesome, godly people. So we agreed before we even left that site that we were going to build a home with them in Dawson Springs. So this week we've started building a home in Dawson Springs. My guys are actually on site today for the first day. They're putting up walls today, but they're building a home today or this week in Dawson Springs, one in Benton, and one in Dresden, Tennessee. So they're building 3 more homes free of charge for families. So we had this dinner meeting with Josh and John Britt. Didn't really know, we were just having a casual dinner meeting. Or lunch meeting, nothing, no agenda about it, just wanted to meet, talk, see how things were going. I still didn't know anything about the backstory of the River Foundation, God's Pit Crew. I didn't know any of that, still didn't know after that meeting. About a week ago, Josh called me or emailed me and said, hey, we partner with a faith-based organization called the River Foundation, and they would like to interview you and Mindy to tell your story about the tornado. And so here we are, walk in the room today, find out that things come full circle. We're a customer. We helped out with the God's Pit Crew homes. You all helped God's Pit Crew to help folks in the area, so it just come full circle, and everything came together like a weave basket today, I guess.
God, in his amazing way, weaving people together, this beautiful tapestry of opportunities to serve alongside one another.
Getting to actually see it all unfold is just absolutely amazing. That's all it comes down to. You can't script that, and that's just how it is. We've all had situations like that where you're like, wow, it happened, and you're like, why? How did this happen? We know how it happened. It's in his hands.